Okay, good evening, everyone. Boa noite, as we say in Portuguese. Welcome to the second session of the series Brazil 200 Years of Independence, History, Language, and Culture. It is an initiative by the Embassy of Brazil in Bridgetown and the Barbados Language Centre, Barbados Community College. I'm your host. My name is Marco Schaumloeffel. I'm lecturer at the Barbados Language Centre. Tonight, we have as topic Basic Portuguese, and the title is Basic Portuguese for Beginners, Key Expressions in Personal Introductions and Conversations. And presenters are tonight Deborah Best, a former student of mine, Portuguese student, and you see Leonora Phillips-Jemmott, also a former student of mine, students. So first of all, before I hand over to you, I would like to talk to you a little bit. And can you just briefly introduce yourself? So who you are, what do you do? Deborah, can you start?
Sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Deborah Best, and I am currently a student at the University of the West Indies. My major was is IT, and I was also pursuing the minor in Brazilian studies while it was still offered. And why did I choose Portuguese? It's a question I get asked all the time, especially by Portuguese speakers. So I've learned how to say why I chose it in Portuguese. It was one of the first phrases I learned. But I chose Portuguese because I wanted to learn a language, but I didn't want to learn French or Spanish. Um, Japanese and German were not offered, and Chinese was clashing with my required courses. So Portuguese seemed interesting, and I started taking the courses, and I fell in love with it almost immediately. And that's how my journey began. And it continues.
Okay, that's great. So, and what about you, Leonora? Your microphone is muted, yeah.
Hi everyone, my name is Leonora Phillips-Jemmott, and I am also currently a student at UE. And my journey in Portuguese just started so haphazardly. Um, I was looking for something to do in terms of an elective, and then I noticed that Portuguese was being offered, and I've heard my friends talking about the minor in Brazilian studies, but it didn't really click, like it didn't really click in my mind. And then when I saw the language course, I was like, I have to take this course. I have to, because I've always wanted to learn Portuguese properly. Like, I mean, I've interacted with some Portuguese people here in Barbados. Like when I was working at a restaurant, like they would come in all the time for dinner, but I would just be trying to speak some Spanish to them, and they're like, "We don't understand." And when I saw this course, I was like, "Yes, definitely, sign me up." And it has changed my life ever since, and I'm not looking back. I am in love with everything Portuguese. I am in love with Brazil. It's a beautiful, beautiful, amazing country with rich history and culture, and I'm just eager to learn more. Like Deborah would have said, it was a bit sad and frustrating when the Brazilian studies minor was taken off, but I still am very much excited for everything Portuguese.
Yeah, but we have to remind you as well, and this is part of the initiative, is we'll now have Portuguese, or we already have Portuguese at the Barbados Community College. So everyone who wants to study Portuguese will have an opportunity to do so here in Barbados. And I will interrupt you now there, otherwise it looks like I'm paying you for all this uh, promotion of the Portuguese language. But on a more serious note, so what do you consider the advantages of studying Portuguese? Like Deborah, you do IT, and you say what just need English, and that's all. What do you think are the advantages of studying Portuguese?
Well, in learning about Brazil and Brazilian culture, you see here we don't really know anything about Brazil. And Brazil is practically half of South America. And it's so close to us. It's such a huge economy, such a diverse country. Like if we wanted to vacation, everything we wanted to do, it's right there, but we don't know about it. So I think one of the advantages is, for me, branching out into another market that is so close to our own and forming connections that can really develop into something beautifully for Barbados economically, in education, and in every other industry. I mean, like you said last week, our buses come from Brazil. Why don't we know more about it? Yeah. So for me, it's learning about this fantastic country and resources that are so close to us that we have not been given the opportunity to learn about.
Right, interesting. And I know for sure, Leonora, you also have like close contacts in Brazil, right? So I guess the advantage of studying is pretty obvious, is that you have it as a tool of communication. And for what else?
Yeah, definitely. Being able to communicate with friends, and then on top of that, I am hoping to pursue a master's degree in Brazil. So this is perfect and right up my alley to like further my knowledge in Portuguese and be able to go there and study.
Right, right. So, and what do you consider? What was it difficult starting to learn Portuguese? Was it easy? What is the degree of difficulty for someone like you that spoke English and you, I guess, also have knowledge of other foreign languages, don't you?
Well, to be honest, I had the best Portuguese teacher ever. So
Again, I'm not paying you for this, right?
Shameless plug.
but seriously, it was just so easy. I felt from the very get-go, I didn't feel intimidated to learn the language. I felt so at ease. Honestly speaking, the lessons were very easily laid out, and we got so much practice in that it just stuck in your head. And also, like, if you do speak some other languages, English included, there are some similarities with Portuguese to Spanish, French, Italian, and there are some English words as well in there that somewhat sound similar to me at least.
Okay, and for you, Deborah, how difficult was it?
Well, it wasn't difficult. I love languages. I've never gotten very far in learning a language, but I love languages. And one of the things I love is learning how to pronounce things the correct way. So it was very exciting for me, um, seeing how differently things were pronounced, differently things were said, but it was also very easy to follow along with and learn. And it became natural, very easily.
Okay, so great. Now we seem to have some technical difficulty here with Leonora, but let's hope she can. Oh, there she is back now. I will hand over to you, and today it's you that will coordinate the session, and you will show some basic Portuguese for our audience, right? So I will just be here watching like all the others, okay? So let me give over to you the right for presenting. I think you can already. Deborah, let's see. Yes, so I think you are good to go, and you can present. Can can you check if you can share content and stuff?
Yes, I'm gonna do that now. Mm, Sorry about that. Is it sharing the right screen?
Yes, yes,
No.
it is.
Okay, I apologize. I am not good with Teams. This is literally my first time actually presenting in Teams because I normally just do everything on Zoom. Um, so just bear with me. And you guys are still seeing the purple screen with?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. Well, hola. Oh, not hola, but hola. O mio nome é Leonora. Hello, my name is Leonora. And na lição de hoje, in today's lesson, vamos falar de frases de sobrevivência relacionadas com cumprimentos em português. We're going to talk about survival phrases related to greetings in Portuguese. But before we dive into that and everything that Deborah and I have in store for you today, let's play a fun icebreaker game. So it's kind of like in a Kahoot style, and anyone can feel free to open their mic because I can't see anyone, and just give it a shot in terms of the answer. So the first question is, what is the capital city of Brazil? Any takers?
Brasilia.
Yay! Yes. There we go. And moving on. Bem-vindo means hello. Is this true or false?
I believe it's false.
Another correct answer, yes. Bem-vindo means welcome. The next question, or the next little quiz, is Portuguese is an official language in ... countries and territories. Does anyone know how many?
I'll guess 5.
No, sorry. Want to try again?
7?
It's actually 10.
10. Okay. Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
More
like,
than you thought.
Yeah, for sure. Like when I think of Portuguese, well, in the beginning, when I first thought of Portuguese, I always used to think of Brazil and Portugal. But I was completely like flabbergasted when I found out that like there are countries like Mozambique, Angola, Equatorial Guinea, and so many others that speak Portuguese and have them as an official language. So definitely a little fun fact there that you would have found out. Moving on. When the letter R is the first letter of a word, it is pronounced like an H. Is this true or false?
True.
Correct again. You seem to be answering all of them correctly. And last but not least, what does com licença mean? Do you think it means in the lesson, excuse me, thank you, or can I help?
Excuse me.
Thank you.
The first answer was right, excuse me. But yes, we're going to see some more about that later
Thank you.
on. No, it's actually excuse me. Okay, so now that we've gotten our feet wet, let's get started with some basic greetings that you can use when meeting up with friends or even when meeting people for the first time. So we're going to learn about cumprimentos, greetings. Vamos lá, let's go. Let's begin with the most basic greetings there are. Oi is the most common way to greet a friend or an acquaintance. On the other hand, hola or hola is another like very common way for you to say hello in Portuguese. And you must remember, like I just made the mistake just now, that it shouldn't be pronounced like hola in Spanish.
No.
I apologize. Instead, you need to make sure to put emphasis on the A that has the accent, and you would pronounce it like hola as opposed to hola. And the words oi and hola have the same meaning, and you can use them in pretty much the same situations. So you walk up to someone and you say oi, hello, or hi, and hola, hello. Moving on, when we greet someone, you would generally add the question, how are you? So usually in Portuguese, you would say, oi, tudo bem? Hi, how are you? Oi, tudo bem? Hi, how are you? Or you can also say, olá, tudo bem? Hello, how are you? And your answer is going to be a super simple one. That simple response is going to just be to say tudo bem right back to the person. So, oi, tudo bem? Hi, how are you? And then you can just say tudo bem. I'm fine, fine. I'm fine. Tudo bem. And from there, you can ask the same question back to the person that you're speaking to. So you can turn around and say tudo bem, e você? So fine, and you? So just to go from the beginning again, you see someone you know and you're like, hey, look, that's Maria. Oi, Maria. Tudo bem? Hi, Maria. How are you? And then you can turn around and, well, Maria might turn around and say, tudo bem. Everything's good. I'm fine. It will say, and you? And, you know, you just say tudo bem right back at her. It has more than one meaning based on the expression, the way you stress it and say it. So now we are going to move on to asking someone else's name. And the most common way to ask this is, qual é o seu nome? What is your name? Qual é o seu nome? And to answer this question, you would say in return, meu nome é, my name is, and then you say your name after. So, for example, someone walked up to me from class today and they said, qual é o seu nome? What is your name? And I would respond and say, meu nome é Leonora. My name is Leonora. And if you don't know the name of the person that you're talking to, you can turn around and ask them the same question. Qual é o seu nome? Qual é o seu nome? What is your name? And then that person would turn around and say, meu nome é, and say their name. And I know we're going through them a little bit quick tempo, but we're going to come back again and go through them at the end. Moving on, the most common way to greet a person that you just met is by saying prazer or muito prazer. So that's prazer, muito prazer. And these are short versions of the phrase prazer em conhecê-lo. Nice to meet you. It's a pleasure to meet you. Prazer em conhecê-lo. It's a pleasure to meet you. Now, let's learn how to greet people at different times of the day. So in the morning, you know, when it's bright and early, or when the sun is shining, you know, and you meet up with someone, the first thing you're going to say to them, or one of the first things you can say to them is, bom dia, good morning, bom dia. When pronouncing the M, I find that it's more like a softer sound, like you don't pronounce the M really strong at the end of the word. So, bom dia. good morning. But if you were to be meeting up with someone in the afternoon, then you'd have to change that greeting. So instead of saying bom dia, you would then say boa tarde, good afternoon, boa tarde. And you should pay special attention here to the way that the letter D is pronounced in the words dia and tarde or tarde. It makes a J sound. And Deborah is going to go on to explain some more about that a bit later on. So again, in the morning, if you see someone, then you would greet them and say, bom dia, good morning. And if you meet them in the afternoon, you say, boa tarde, good afternoon. And last but not least, we can't forget learning how to say goodnight. So in Portuguese, you say boa noite. Boa noite. That means good night. So when you want to say goodnight to someone, maybe you just walked into a restaurant or a room or something with someone and it's evening or nighttime, then you say boa noite. And there is no real difference. Well, based on what I've heard, there's no real difference between like evening and night in Portuguese per se, like we would have in English. So you can just say boa noite, good night, or boa noite to mean good evening as well. On the other hand, another useful phrase to learn or another word is how to say goodbye. So the most common way to say goodbye is to just use the word ciao. Ciao. And I'm sure like people have heard that word before, even in English. Ciao. Ciao. So ciao means bye, or you can make it sound a little bit cuter and say ciao ciao, which is bye-bye. Ciao ciao. Bye-bye. Apart from this, another like common way to say not necessarily like bye, but like see you soon or whatnot is até logo. Até logo, which means see you soon. And then we also have the phrase até mais. Até mais, which means see you later. And those two phrases generally suggest that you'll end up seeing this person again sometime soon. So we have ciao, bye, ciao ciao, bye bye, até logo, see you soon, and até mais, see you later. So now let's practice the pronunciation of these phrases. I'm gonna repeat each of these phrases 3 times, 1 time slowly and 2 times more like at a normal tempo. So please feel free to repeat after me on your own first. And then we're gonna have some volunteers to go through the list and pronounce the words out loud for everyone to hear. So the first one is oi. Hi. Oi. Oi. Then we have hola. Hola. Hello. Hola. Oi. Tudo bem? Hi. How are you? Oi. Tudo bem? Oi. Tudo bem? Tudo bem. E você? Tudo bem. E você? Fine. And you? One more time. Tudo bem. E você? Fine. And you? Next. Qual é seu nome? Qual é o seu nome? What is your name? Qual é o seu nome? Forgot the O there. Qual é o seu nome? What is your name? And you would respond, meu nome é, and you state your name. Meu nome é Leonora. Eu seu, and yours. Eu seu. Meu nome é Leonora. Eu seu. My name's Leonora. And yours? Next we have prazer. It's a pleasure or pleasure. Prazer. Prazer. Muito prazer. It's very much a pleasure. Muito prazer. One more time. Muito prazer. If we greet someone at different times of the day, bom dia. Good morning. Bom dia. Bom dia. Boa tarde. Good afternoon. Boa tarde. Boa noite. Good evening or good night. Boa noite. Boa noite. Then to say bye-bye, ciao, ciao. Ciao, ciao. Or just ciao. See you soon. Até logo. Até logo. See you soon. Até logo. And last but not least, até mais. See you later. Até mais. Até mais. So now that we've had a little chance to practice, do we have any volunteers that would like to go through the list and practice their pronunciation? Any takers?
I'll go.
Great.
So just start from the top.
Yeah, you can just start from the top and then just call each word out. You don't necessarily have to repeat them more than once, but just to pronounce it for yourself and make sure that it's good.
Okay. Oi.
Mm-hmm.
Olá.
Mm-hmm.
Oi, tudo bem? Tudo bem? E você?
Okay.
Qual é o seu nome?
Yes. Qual é o seu nome?
Qual é o seu nome? Meu nome é prazer. Muito prazer. Bom dia.
Mm-hmm.
Boa tarde.
Mm-hmm.
Boa noite.
Mm-hmm.
Tchau, tchau. Até logo. Até mais.
Yay! That was great.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Is there anyone else that would also like to give it a go?
I think I saw Darren raise his hand. I see Helen has raised her hand now also.
Oh, I actually really can't see anything. So I can't see any hands. So if anything.
Yes, we do have one volunteer right now. That's Helen.
Okay, give it a go, Helen.
Good evening, everyone.
Oh, good evening.
Oi,
No.
I apologize.
olá.
Mm-hmm.
Oi, tudo bem? Tudo bem. E você? qual o seu nome? Meu nome é Helen. Prazer, muito prazer. Bom dia, boa tarde, boa noite. Tchau, tchau. Até logo. Até mais.
Great. That was also very good.
Obrigada.
De nada. You're welcome. Is there anyone else, Deborah?
Well, yeah, I did see Darren raise his hand, but I don't know if he still wants to go. Darren, do you still want to volunteer to try?
No, I think a really good activity would get Helene and the first girl to actually speak to each other. That'd be fantastic, I think.
I love how you're
Oh.
making these suggestions.
I do. I mean, I wish you would also be in the conversation. That would be awesome.
Wouldn't
Do you
it?
guys
I think the girls will benefit from it. Let's go.
I love your energy. Would you guys like to maybe try a little dialogue? I was planning to put a dialogue screen, but then I think I ended up removing it. So you can just say, good night, because it's evening now. Good evening. What is your name? My name is whatnot. And then the person will ask, and yours? And then you say your name and then tell them it's a pleasure to meet them. And it's a pleasure. Bye-bye.
I suggest Darren for that exercise.
Oh, I think everyone's feeling a bit shy now that we're more than just reading. Okay, so how about
Hola, hola,
Olá, boa noite.
boa noite. Tudo bem?
Tudo bem? E você?
Tudo bem, tudo bem. Qual é o seu nome?
Meu nome é Leonora. E o seu?
Meu nome é Darren.
Muito prazer em conhecê-lo, Darren.
Muito prazer em conhecê-lo.
Tchau, tchau.
Tchau, tchau. Obrigada.
De nada. That was great. That was great. Would anyone else like to try? Maybe someone can go with Deborah.
Very good, very good. You guys doing well. I'm just listening and having fun.
Helen? Okay. All right. Let's go. Are you ready?
Yes, I am ready. Hold a minute. First.
Okay. Oi, boa noite.
Oi, boa noite. Tudo bem?
Tudo bem. E você?
Tudo bem. Obrigada.
Qual é o seu nome?
Meu nome é Helena. E você?
Meu nome é Débora. Muito prazer.
Muito prazer também.
Ah,
Até logo.
até mais.
Até mais.
That was another great example of a dialogue. And definitely survival expressions, because you can now go and say hi to someone and ask them what their name is and make a new friend, hopefully.
I guess if we have another few sessions, in 4 or 5 weeks, I can just do all the conferences in Portuguese because you're all progressing very fast.
Yes, that could definitely not work. I could try. At this point, we're gonna move on to pronunciation. And this is going to be done by the lovely Mrs. Deborah Best.
Yes. Boa noite, everyone. Good evening. Today we are going to be talking about pronunciation also. Pronuncia. There's supposed to be an accent on that EU. Never mind, it's not there. There's supposed to be. All right, so I'm going to give you some tips to help you with your pronunciation when you are going through different words in Portuguese. And of course, these are not all of the language tips, but they're just a few that are pretty common that will help you with your language skills. All right, so the first one is letters. So letters in Portuguese are a bit different in some cases than in English. So we want to look first at the letter R. And if you remember from our quiz when we started, one of the questions was, does the letter R at the start of a word sound like the letter H? And the answer is, drum roll please. Yes, it does. So here are a couple words that you may see commonly that have the letter R. We all know the state Rio de Janeiro, as we like to say as English speakers who have no experience with Portuguese. However, the first word, which means river, is pronounced Rio. So it's like an H, Rio. Then we have another word which we all know and we all like very much. In English, restaurant, very easy to recognize. In Portuguese, we would say restaurante. Restaurante. The next R we're going to look at is the R in the middle of a word. The rule changes. It goes back to the usual R as we have in English. Now, Portuguese speakers tend to roll their R's. It's not a skill I've developed. Sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't, but we'll give it a go. But it's going to be a normal R, like caro, which means expensive, and banheiro, which means restroom or bathroom. So it's a regular R. So are there any, I'm going to go through the double R and then I'm going to ask for a volunteer for each category. So the double R in the middle of a word. Can anyone guess what it sounds like?
Caro.
No, it's a good guess. It's a good guess. I hear that extra emphasis on the rolling. But when the double R occurs in the middle of a word, it sounds like the H when the R comes at the beginning. So the first word we have here is car in Portuguese, which is carro, carro. And then the next word, which is run, corre. All right, so I need some volunteers for my R at the beginning, my R in the middle, and my R at the end. And my double R in the middle, sorry. Do we have one person who's brave enough to give it a go?
Rio.
I heard a Rio.
Rio restaurante.
Beautiful. What about R? I see Jamal or Jamal. I see your hand is up. Please go right ahead.
Okay, the first one then would be Rio. Restaurante.
Okay, keep going.
You said in the middle of the word it was just a regular R, so I think that's is it right? So
that's right.
Caro.
Yes.
Y banheiro.
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 Yes.
The double R's are, you said H, so it's like carro. y coge.
That's great. Beautiful. I know as a speaker of English, and maybe if we know Spanish, when we see these words, our brain automatically tells our tongue this is the sound you make. So it's something that you need to practice, and practicing reading in Portuguese really helps you with it. Yeah, another point to note, I didn't include it here, but when you have N and an H, it makes the yeah. So the H makes it sound like there's a Y in there. So instead of banheiro, you would say banheiro. Okay, so moving on to the M. M at the end of a word, as we saw with tudo bem, and bom, and also this other word here, which is algum, which means some. It's soft. It's like a soft N. It's like a very soft M, but it sounds closer to an N. It's not a hard N like bon, but it's a softer bon. Yeah. And then we have the D and the T. As in restaurante above, we saw that the TE sounded a bit different. It sounded like a ch, like a CH. And then in bom dia, we see that the DI sounds like a j, a G. So in Portuguese, in many words, you'll see that the DI and the DE are pronounced as if the D is actually a J, and the TE and TI are pronounced as if the T is a CH. So we have some words here. We have dia, which means day, gia. We have jardim, which is garden, and we have demais, or demais, depending on who you're speaking to. Demais, which means more. And then we have dentes, which means teeth, dentes, and chia, which is auntie, chia. So those are some points to note for when you are speaking Portuguese, you've read something, the correct way to pronounce it. Now, another point to note is the accents. The acute accent in particular, it tells you where the emphasis is in the word. Typically in Portuguese, the accent goes on the second last syllable. But if the accent falls elsewhere, as we saw in hola, you recognize that the emphasis isn't on the O, it's on the la. So we have some words here. We have Paraná, which is a state in Brazil. You see the emphasis is on that last A. We have água, which we know means water, very common word, água. And then we have café, café, which means coffee. Not cafe, it means coffee. And the final type of accent we want to look at is the sigilia, the C sigilia. Now this softens the C. So we know we have carro and caro, but when the sigilia comes before the A, it sounds like an S, as in cabeça, which means head, cabeça. We get that soft S sound, and also abraço, which means to hug. It's something that is also very, very popular in Brazil. You know, Brazilians are very warm, touchy-feely people. So abraço, right? I would like one volunteer now.
Actually, Deborah, let me say something interesting about abraço here that is cultural as well. So when we say, like, even when we write an email or so, or when we talk on the phone, to say goodbye to someone, we can say abraço, a hug. You know, for good friends or so, people you like, you say, oh, abraço, which is just to say greetings or bye-bye, and, you know, so word is all over the place. Yes. Go ahead.
Thank you. Yeah, it's a really good point. It's something that I found very interesting when meeting native Brazilian people who I practice Portuguese with, one of my friends would tell me, oh, you know, give a hug to my husband for them. And I paused because this is not something we do in any English speaking culture. There's no, oh, this guy is sending a hug for your husband. Yeah, but that is the way it is in Brazil. It is very common and they're very comfortable with it. So I need one volunteer very quickly to pronounce my words with the acute accents and the C sigilia. Okay, I see we have Helen again volunteering. Brava, please go ahead.
Obrigada. Okay. Paraná, água, café, cabeça, abraço.
Okay, beautiful. Thank you very much. All right, so let's move on. All right, so we have some helpful phrases to learn. Hey, it says phases, but it's supposed to be phrases. Some helpful phrases to learn in Portuguese. The first one, we saw it in the quiz also. Com licença. Com licença. It means excuse me. So even though you don't know any Portuguese, with these couple phrases, you should be able to at least get some help. So the first one, com licença, excuse me. You're in a new city in Brazil, you don't know anyone, you need some help. Com licença. The next phrase, eu não falo português. Eu não falo português. As a non-Portuguese speaker, if you don't know how to say anything else, this is probably one of the best phrases to know. Yeah, when I learned another language previously, I did very poorly in it in school, but one of the things I knew how to say is, I don't speak this language. Yeah, so it's very important to know. Eu não falo português. I don't speak Portuguese. The next one is also a very important question that you must know when traveling to a Brazilian speaking nation. It's, você fala inglês? Você fala inglês? Do you speak English? And then, of course, to say please, por favor, and sorry, desculpe, desculpe. So if we wanted to put all of this into something to say to a stranger, you could say, com licença, desculpe, eu não falo português. Por favor, você fala inglês? And with these phrases, you should be able to get someone to help you, or to get someone to help you out. Right, so I'm going to hand back over to Leo as our time is a bit short now.
Thank you for going through the pronunciation and those helpful phrases that you can use when in Brazil or any Portuguese speaking country, or even in Barbados speaking to a Portuguese speaking person. The last thing we wanted to do was look at a video outlining things not to do in Brazil. This way you can get to hear someone speaking in Portuguese as well and follow along with the subtitles in English. So we're just going to play that video quickly for you.
Inventaram a right. Oi, pessoal, aqui é a Virgínia. Neste vídeo eu vou falar sobre 10 coisas que irritam os brasileiros. Não saia daí. Antes de começar a lição de hoje, lembre-se de dar um like neste vídeo e inscreva-se no meu canal para não perder os próximos vídeos. Além do meu canal no YouTube, eu também ofereço muitos outros recursos gratuitos que eu criei para ajudá-los a aprender o português brasileiro. Você vai encontrar a lista completa de recursos gratuitos no site www.speakingbrasilian.com/free. Vamos então começar nossa lição. Hoje vamos falar sobre coisas que você não deve fazer no Brasil, a menos que você queira irritar os brasileiros. Como você sabe, brasileiros geralmente são pessoas alegres e descontraídas, mas algumas coisas nos irritam profundamente. Eu fiz uma lista de coisas que incomodam brasileiros para você não cometer gafes quando for ao Brasil. Vamos lá. Número 1, presumir que brasileiros falam espanhol. Gente, no Brasil não se fala espanhol. Então, por favor, não vá ao Brasil achando que você vai conseguir se comunicar em espanhol. A maioria dos brasileiros considera isso ofensivo. É claro que alguns brasileiros falam espanhol, assim como alguns falam inglês, francês e muitas outras línguas. Mas se você presumir que brasileiros falam espanhol porque estamos na América Latina, você vai ofender muitas pessoas. Apesar de serem línguas parecidas, o português e o espanhol não são a mesma coisa. Se você precisar se comunicar em espanhol, você deve primeiro perguntar em português se a pessoa sabe falar espanhol. Por exemplo, você pode dizer: desculpe, eu não falo português. Você fala espanhol? Se você explicar que não sabe falar português e perguntar se pode falar espanhol, tudo bem. As pessoas vão perceber que você está sendo respeitoso e vão tentar se comunicar com você. Número 2, criticar o Brasil. Cuidado, brasileiros adoram criticar o Brasil, mas não aceitam críticas de estrangeiros. Na nossa opinião, só brasileiros podem reclamar do Brasil. É como, por exemplo, uma mãe que pode apontar os defeitos dos seus filhos, mas não aceita que ninguém fale nada negativo deles. Você vai ouvir muitos brasileiros reclamando do Brasil, mas isso não quer dizer que você possa dizer nada. Se você ouvir um brasileiro reclamando do Brasil, sorria e acene com a cabeça. Se você concordar ou acrescentar alguma coisa, você fará inimigos. Por outro lado, se você mencionar coisas boas sobre o Brasil, os brasileiros vão te amar e serão seus melhores amigos. Número 3, dizer que os irmãos Wright inventaram o avião. Não diga a um brasileiro que os irmãos Wright inventaram o avião, a menos que você queira entrar em uma discussão. Eu li muitos artigos sobre esse assunto antes de fazer este vídeo e percebi que, até hoje, mais de um século depois, especialistas ainda não chegaram a um acordo. Alguns dizem que os irmãos Wright inventaram o avião e outros dizem que foi Santos Dumont. Como você deve imaginar, para nós brasileiros, não há dúvidas. O inventor do avião foi Alberto Santos Dumont, um brasileiro nascido em Minas Gerais em 1873. Se você for ao Rio de Janeiro, talvez você desembarque no aeroporto Santos Dumont, que foi nomeado em homenagem ao inventor. Você também pode visitar a casa onde Santos Dumont morou, em Petrópolis, a mais ou menos 1 hora de carro da capital. Número 4, não saber qual é a capital do Brasil. Outra coisa que deixa o brasileiro incomodado é quando um estrangeiro não sabe que a capital do Brasil não é o Rio de Janeiro, nem São Paulo. Mas se você quiser irritar mesmo um brasileiro, é só dizer que a capital do Brasil é Buenos Aires. Sério, gente. Então, vamos ter uma mini aula de geografia. Repita depois de mim. Buenos Aires é a capital da Argentina. A capital do Brasil é Brasília, Brasília. Número 5. Presumir que todo brasileiro saiba sambar, jogar futebol e viva na praia. Seria ótimo, mas não é verdade. A ideia de que brasileiros adoram samba, futebol e carnaval não passa de estereótipo. Há muito mais do que isso no Brasil. Então, quando conversar com um brasileiro, tente descobrir outras coisas sobre o país. Evite mencionar estereótipos e, por favor, não pergunte a brasileiros se eles sabem sambar. Número 6. Sugerir que o Brasil não tem o melhor futebol do mundo. Nem todos os brasileiros gostam de futebol, mas muitos são torcedores fanáticos. E há duas coisas que você não deve dizer a essas pessoas. Primeiro, não diga que o Maradona é melhor do que o Pelé. Não faça isso. E segundo, não mencione o jogo do Brasil contra a Alemanha na Copa do Mundo de 2014, no qual nós perdemos de 7-1. Foi humilhante. É óbvio que eu estou brincando. Eu não ligo para futebol, mas muitos brasileiros levam esse assunto muito a sério. Número 7. Bater a porta do carro. Eu acho isso engraçado porque eu não ligo muito para carros, mas eu já vi muitos brasileiros irritados porque alguém bateu a porta do carro. Normalmente, se alguém faz isso, o dono do carro pergunta: "Você não tem geladeira em casa?" Acho que a ideia é de que devemos fechar a porta do carro, assim como fechamos a geladeira, suavemente. Número 8. Não cumprimentar ou se despedir. Eu não acho que isso seja irritante, mas é considerado falta de educação. Os brasileiros esperam que você cumprimente ao chegar e se despeça ao sair, geralmente com beijos e abraços. Lugar e não cumprimenta, algumas pessoas dizem: "Você dormiu comigo?" É claro que eu estou falando de amigos e pessoas conhecidas. Se você não conhece a pessoa, você não precisa beijar e abraçar. Basta dizer bom dia ou boa noite e pronto. Número 9. Presumir que mulheres brasileiras estão disponíveis e vão aceitar sair com turistas estrangeiros facilmente. Obviamente, mulheres brasileiras gostam de ser tratadas com respeito, como todas as mulheres do mundo, né? Nem todas estão interessadas em turistas estrangeiros ou qualquer outra pessoa. Eu não deveria precisar dizer isso, mas aqui estou. Você não imagina o número de comentários inapropriados que eu já li aqui no YouTube. E número 10, dizer a um brasileiro: "Você não parece brasileiro." Já me disseram isso algumas vezes. Eu não sei como as pessoas imaginam que brasileiros sejam, mas não há uma única maneira de descrever brasileiros. No Brasil, você vai encontrar indígenas, afrodescendentes, descendentes de europeus de todos os cantos da Europa, descendentes de japoneses, chineses, libaneses. E a lista continua. Então, com relação à aparência física, basicamente, qualquer pessoa que você veja na rua poderia ser brasileira. É isso, gente. Espero que você tenha se divertido com este vídeo. O que você achou mais interessante? Se você conhece...
Thank you for being here and listening to our presentation. I hope that in listening to the video, you guys would have been able to hear some of the points that Deborah and I would have made today, like, you know, Brasilia being the capital. That was a little extra tidbit in there. But then the pronunciation, like carro, like slamming the door of the carro, and Rio de Janeiro, abraço with the cicadilla. All of the different things that we spoke about were kind of like all brought together in this video in a tiny little package. And, you know, about greeting people, what to say. And I hope that everyone would have learned something useful today, and that you will continue to repeat some of the phrases that you learned today and be able to greet people if you need to in Portuguese.
Okay, so that is great. I thank you very much for this interesting presentation. I'm pretty sure that our guests learned some basic Portuguese tonight. The session will also, or is being recorded and will also be available on YouTube later. In the WhatsApp group, I will publish the link there. Okay. Does anyone have any questions or any comments from the public, from people watching Leonora's and Deborah's Portuguese class? Yes, Helen?
Well, first of all, thanks again for this fantastic presentation, and thanks for having invited me, Marco. I think Leonora and Deborah are doing a good job. You're almost like teachers, which is good. And what I enjoy is not only the pronunciation, but also the video is important. It's good to include some cultural aspect on Brazil, on what to do, what not to do, because we all learn a language, but we don't always know how persons who speak that language, what we take for granted, what we think will be acceptable may not be. You know, like assuming that all Brazilians speak Spanish, or even dance the samba and play the football and so on. But very good presentation. I enjoyed myself. It was a vision for me. Thank you.
I can play football, but don't ask me to dance samba because it would be a big disaster. Any other people that want to comment? Kayla, yes?
Hi, boa noite. You can hear me clearly, right?
Yes.
I just want to say, hold on a minute. I just want to say thank you for tonight. For me, this was a refresher's course because I felt like I forgot a lot of basic information that I would have learned in class with you all, and especially the pronunciation. And yeah, that's basically it. Y'all did fantastic. Obrigada.
Obrigada a Leonora e a Deborah. Okay, so let me just give you briefly some information. As you know, these sessions take place every week on Thursdays since last week at 6 p.m. However, next week, I will not be able to be here live at 6 p.m. And instead, exceptionally, I have recorded a session with Dr. Frederick Aline. And this recorded session is on the Barbadians that immigrated to Brazil. And this conversation is already recorded. It is already on YouTube. I will send the link next week to you in the chat, in the WhatsApp group, so you can watch it. And we usually will have a space at the end for people to ask questions. This is not the case next week because it's not live. But if you have any questions regarding that presentation on the migration of Bajans to Brazil, you can ask the questions in the comment session, and we will answer those questions there, okay? So next week, there is no session live, but we will be back in 2 weeks at 6 p.m. on Thursday. And also another change that I already know, the 200 years of Brazil's independence is commemorated, obviously, on our Independence Day. Our Independence Day is on the 7th of September, which happens to be a Wednesday. And the session of 8th of September, scheduled for the 8th, which will be a Thursday, we will do that on the 7th. So we will have a special edition, a special presentation on the 7th of September. So that will also be an exception. It will not be on Thursday, but will be on the day of our independence on the 7th of September, which is in 4 weeks, right? So that's it from us here today. I thank you all very much for being here. I will send the link for next week's session in the WhatsApp group. You can forward it if you want. And we are here live again in 2 weeks, okay? See you then. Thank you very much for being here, and Bye bye. Ciao, ciao. Boa
Ciao,
noite.
ciao.
Ciao, ciao. Boa noite.
Boa noite.
Boa noite. Bye.